She's been called a flawless storyteller, the grande dame of American thriller writing. In fact, Mary Higgins Clark is known as the queen of suspense, and she lives up to that title in her newest thriller, I've Got You Under My Skin. And with more than 80 million copies of her book sold, did you know Mary Higgins Clark, one of the world's best-selling authors, has a connection to Delmarva? Dr. Linda DeRoche, a professor at Wesley College in Dover and a former Fulbright scholar, wrote a book about Mary entitled Mary Higgins Clark, Life and Leathers. It's a book that highlights what has influenced Clark's life. Clark says when she received the Dover author's book, she was almost afraid to open it.
You know, when you write your own it's autobiography, obviously. It's one thing. When someone writes about you, it's something else. But I did agree with her premise.
Mary says the Dover author's book was very well written. Isn't that a compliment? She recently joined us to talk about her career and what prompts her to write. Mary says much of her material, like this book, the new one, is inspired by actual crimes. Now, Mary isn't the only one who has a love for writing. In fact, Jimmy's standing by with another famous face who is also making a name for herself in bookstores everywhere. Jimmy?
She's known for her quirky, heartfelt performances in shows like Sisters, Pushing Daisies, and currently Mike and Molly. But it's not just the screen that she's made a name for herself on, but on Broadway as well. In fact, Swoosie Kurtz is an Emmy Award and two-time Tony Award-winning actress who's been in the business for decades. And now, guess what? She's adding something else to her resume. And we are so honored to have Swoosie join us on Delmarva Life this afternoon. First of all, Swoosie, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here. Take us back.
Oh, Jimmy, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Take us back to your childhood and tell us what it was like. An award-winning diver for a father, an aviator. What was all that like?
Well, in this book, I really describe my childhood, which I think was unique because I was an only child and I have had the most amazing parents in the world. Yeah. Two real, really icons of the greatest generation. My dad was the most decorated Air Force pilot of World War II.
Oh my.
And as you say, he was on 3 Olympic diving teams. My mom wrote a book when she was pregnant with me. It was published in 1945, a home front memoir about my dad being away at war.
Yeah.
And they were in newsreels, you know, they were like movie stars. But of course, as a kid, I just took it for granted. I didn't think anything of it. But looking back, I realized what amazing, colorful people I was living with.
Wow.
And they were just the best parents in the world.
You got to tell me, how did you come up with the title of your book, Part Swan, Part Goose?
Well, the plane was part swan, part goose, the Swoos, because it was made up of original parts and parts from other planes. And I decided to call the book that crazy title because I feel it's kind of been my life and it's kind of me. I think I'm mostly goose and less swan. I wish there was a little more swan there, but you know, when I pull it all together, I can appear for a short time a bit swan-like, but there's lots of goose there, lots of awkward, shy sort of thing, which is, I think, what made me want to become an actress.
Which is what makes you...
To live through another character.
Which is what makes you wonderful. Now, you have got a wonderful bond with your mom still. She's 98, and you're living with her. Tell me about that.
Yes, she's living with me, but, I mean, my choice, because we have always been joined at the heart. I mean, she has always been my best pal, my confidant. And when she started to decline, was about 7 years ago, yeah. I felt she needs me now, and right. She had always been there for me. And it's been an amazing, challenging, huge blessing in my life, this full circle thing of taking care of her. I hope that the book will make people laugh and cry, but I also hope it will be kind of a lighthouse of sorts for people out there, baby boomers and other people who are caring for their parents.
Right. You have worked around some huge names. Any memorable moments stick out to you that you could share?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I don't know where to begin. I do remember at the same time I felt like the luckiest girl in the world because I was flying back and forth working with Michael Caine in New York, shooting a film with Albert Finney on the West Coast. Because now they're both sirs. They weren't sirs then, and of course they knew each other from England, you know. And I would say, "Is there anything to Michael? Is there anything you want me to tell Albert?" And he would say, tell him to go himself. And so I would pass that on to Albert, and he'd say, well, tell Michael to do the same with love.
Oh my goodness.
So that was kind of cool. I know.
So you had an incredible career, the big screen, the stage. Do you prefer one over the other?
You know, I really go by the material. It's the woman on the page that I want to bring to life. And that kind of writing can come anywhere in any of those mediums. I think the stage is of course my first love. That's what I wanted to do starting out, and I've done so much of it. But I don't know, it's really where the material is. I do love the stage because you have more control as an actor.
Yeah.
It really is an actor's medium.
Wow, how about that? Swoosie Kurtz, part swan, part goose, an uncommon memoir of womanhood, work, and family. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. Now, if you'd like to read more about Swoosie, all you have to do is go to delmarvalife.com and click on the Show tab. So there you go, a couple of good reads to choose from when it comes to this summer. Now, while you're reading, how many times do you wish you could have something tasty to snack on? Well, this afternoon, a new twist on the traditional book club. They chop, whisk, blend, and talk about books.
Do you see the main character whose channel?
Every month, Chef Stephanie Paganini hosts a book club where participants also learn to cook.
Everyone in the class reads the book, and then I pull food out from the book.
Tonight, the inspiration comes from the Book of Unholy Mischief.
We're going to get started with our butternut squash soup.
First, Stephanie sautés potatoes and peppers. She adds roasted onion, squash, and tomatoes, and a little bit of garlic. Next comes the white wine.
So that white wine is actually pulling up all of that flavor.
Everything goes into a blender, then back into a pot with some vegetable stock to cook a little longer. She tops it with fresh cilantro and crusty bread.
We have this sort of gorgeous butternut squash bisque.
For the main course, it's ravioli. Stephanie makes a well with a cup of flour.
And then into our well is going our egg with a little bit of salt.
She whisks it, pours in the white wine, then comes more flour and kneading.
And we're going to roll out our dough.
She fills each ravioli with a mixture of carrots, garlic, potatoes, and ground beef, and tops it all with a sweet and spicy sauce.
It's delicious. It's awesome. It's got a smoky flavor from the chipotles.
Stephanie says the food helps the women open up.
When you sit down for dinner, you converse. When you sit down as a family at the dinner table, you talk. So it opens lines of communication.
I love the combination of food and books and friends.
Reading, eating, socializing, and doing it all at the same time. Stephanie's been leading this book club for about 8 years now, and you can get her recipes on delmarvalife.com. Yeah, that noise you just heard was my stomach growling after looking at all this food. So up next on Delmarva Life, we head to the kitchen to put together a side dish that'll have the entire town talking: celery seed slaw. And later, let's end your day on a high note. We'll announce today's winner in our Delmarva Life Summer Countdown giveaway. Delmarva Life. We'll be right back.